Hello everyone, and welcome to our online version of the Hope Signs. My name's Kyla Ponciano, Engagement Specialist of L'Arche USA, and here we have the awesome Parker.
Thank you for that introduction, Kyla. Yes, my name is Parker. I am our Creative and Communications Manager, and I am excited to be reading this newsletter with you today.
Okay, now let's get started. When was the last time you were so excited about something that you just had to jump up and run around the room or holler loud in happy abandonment? These are the images that stay with me after the West Regional Gathering this summer. People who were so excited to be together that they just had to shout it out or run around the room to express their joy. Joy from being in a new place and making new friends, from singing and having fun together, and from connecting with old friends after a long time apart. This picture shows L'Arche members dancing together at West Regional Gathering. Our joy at beginning together again also made us aware of all that has changed since we saw each other in 2019. Those who have passed away were on our minds, as well as those who are no longer able to travel or tolerate large group environments. These things remind us that the journey we take together in L'Arche can be hard, physically, mentally, and emotionally. That was all true at the gathering as well. Perhaps that is why joy expressed freely felt so powerful to me to witness and to join in. We hope you experience some of the joy of regional gathering as you walk with us through this edition of Hope Signs. Perhaps you'll catch some of the joy of L'Arche. If so, feel free to holler out or jump up and run around the room. In gratitude and joy, Laura Giddings, National Leader, Executive Director of L'Arche USA. Thank you.
Yeah, now we jump right into our cover of the regional gatherings. Belonging and Beyond comes full circle. This is a great photo from L'Arche Cleveland's community showcase at the Northeast Regional Gathering, featuring some handmade large bubble letters that spell out L'Arche. This summer, more than 350 members of L'Arche came together for 2 joyful regional gatherings to reconnect with friends, build new relationships, and experience the belonging at the heart of our mission. In June, the West Regional Gathering returned for the first time in 7 years, bringing more than 150 people to Tacoma, Washington. Just 2 weeks later, nearly 200 people gathered in Utica, New York, for the Northeast Regional Gathering. Both gatherings continued our nationwide theme of belonging and beyond. Here we have some photos from L'Arche Long Island, L'Arche Seattle, and a L'Arche dunk tank that were all at the regional gatherings.
Across the 2 events, days were filled with shared meals, small group conversations, learning, advocacy, and plenty of celebration. Communities brought their creativity to the stage through performances and showcases, from an ESPN-style community lineup to the artistic mime performance. There was a variety show, dance, karaoke, and even a dunk tank. Participants also turned their joy into generosity. solidity fears at the two gatherings raised nearly 3,000 for L'Arche International, extending the spirit of those gatherings beyond the U.S. and connecting participants with the wider L'Arche movement around the world. Completing these gatherings also marked an extensive milestone. Every region in the United States has now experienced Belonging and Beyond. Although more than 700 people from L'Arche communities across the country have gathered around this shared theme to strengthen relationships, exchanging ideas, and imagine together how we can build community where everyone belongs. Here are 3 pictures: L'Arche Boston North, L'Arche Spokane, and L'Arche Erie. You are part of making this possible. Gatherings of this size take tremendous resources, coordination, and care. The generosity of L'Arche USA supporters, partners, and friends creates opportunities for people with and without intellectual disabilities to travel, learn, celebrate, advocate, and build relationships beyond the borders of their own communities. Thank you so much for helping bring L'Arche together. Your support makes room for friendships to deepen, new connections to take root, and the experience of belonging to reach further than any one gathering. Please click here to explore the gatherings via Instagram.
Definitely check them out. There's some fun highlights there where you can see firsthand what was happening at all of our gatherings. 8,806 miles and counting. Here we have a picture of a very cool looking RV. And this story is about sacred stories. After months on the road, thousands of miles traveled, and hundreds of conversations, the Sacred Stories listening tour is nearing the end of its journey across the United States. Since the RV first hit the road, the Sacred Stories team has traveled 8,806 miles, visited 20 L'Arche communities, and recorded 326 interviews with people from across L'Arche. And there are still 2 stops left to go. So far along the way, 14 Everable film crew members and 21 film trainees, people from inside our L'Arche communities, have helped capture stories of faith, belonging, grief, hope, love, and joy. Here we have an image from L'Arche Frederick and from L'Arche Wavecrest. But the impacts of the listening tour can't be measured in miles and interviews alone. At every stop, people with and without intellectual and developmental disabilities have been invited to reflect on the experiences, relationships, and moments that have shaped their lives. One community shared, "People left the interviews feeling heartful, inspired, and deeply seen. It helped our community feel part of something much bigger." Another reflected, "We also learned more about our core members while we were supporting them to talk about what was sacred to them. It really brought our community closer." We've got an image from the stop at L'Arche Portland and another image from the stop at L'Arche Spokane. That spirit of deep listening is at the heart of Sacred Stories, a 5-year initiative celebrating the lived faith experience and spiritual wisdom of people with and without intellectual and developmental disabilities. The stories gathered will help shape films, audio prayers, accessible curriculum, retreats, and other resources for deeper reflection and connection in the coming years. As the RV completes its final miles, the listening tour may be ending, but the Sacred Stories journey is just beginning. As one community shared, it was a beautiful reminder that every person has a sacred story to tell. We can't wait to share more of what we've heard, learned, and discovered along the way. And be sure to follow along on Instagram and Facebook as the remainder of the Sacred Stories Listening Tour unfolds this coming week. Here we've got an image from L'Arche Twin Cities, L'Arche Seattle, and L'Arche GWDC, Greater Washington, D.C., from their listening tour stops. You can click here to go online and learn more about the Sacred Stories Project. And please know that Sacred Stories is made possible through our funder, Lilly Endowment Inc.'s National Storytelling Initiative on Christian Faith and Life, and through deep collaboration and shared vision with our partners, L'Arche Greater Washington, D.C., the film team at Ever Able, and the research team at Center for Applied Research in the Apostolate.
Well, good job, team. And here's a video on an inside look at the tour. Good job.
Up next, we have solidarity across borders. L'Arche is a global movement, and one way that L'Arche USA lives out that connection is by helping secure funding for communities around the world. Here we have an image from L'Arche Ternopil in Ukraine. Through grants from the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, ELCA, we are helping large communities in Ukraine and Bethlehem continue their work amid war and instability. In Ukraine, that means sustaining disability services, daily programs, and psychosocial support, even amid air raid sirens and power outages. In Bethlehem, support helps provide stability, daily meals, and meaningful activities for 40 adults with intellectual disabilities. The Raskop Foundation supports outreach in Egypt and Zimbabwe, from education, medical care, and vocational training in underserved Egyptian villages to family outreach combating stigma and isolation in Zimbabwe. We are also so grateful for the Soham Foundation's support of L'Arche Asansol and Kolkata in India, and the generosity of the Center for Central American Empowerment for supporting L'Arche Honduras, most recently its day center in Tegucigalpa. Together, these partnerships are one meaningful way we strengthen connections and stand in solidarity with L'Arche communities around the world. Big shout out to our development team who secured these grants for all these international communities. And here's an image from L'Arche Lviv in Ukraine. Looks like a great crew.
Be an accessible democracy defender. This September 14th through the 19th, L'Arche USA is joining the American Association of People with Disabilities and Rev Up in celebrating Disability Voting Rights Week, which is a nonpartisan movement focused on advocacy, community, and building the power of the disability vote. People with disabilities continue to face barriers that can make participating in elections difficult or even impossible. With the November 3rd midterm elections approaching, we're raising awareness about voting accessibility, sharing resources, and celebrating people with disabilities, making their voices heard. You can be an accessible democracy defender too. Make a plan to vote, help someone else access the information they need, and follow L'Arche USA on social media throughout the week as we share voices and resources. Because an accessible democracy is a stronger democracy.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited for this week. Up next, we have our recap on the Disability Policy Seminar. Here we've got an image of folks from L'Arche Boston North posing in front of the UA's Capitol building, L'Arche members sharing a nice meal out together in Washington, D.C., and all our representatives from L'Arche posing at the seminar. This past spring, 16 members of L'Arche from across the country traveled to Washington, D.C. for the Disability Policy Seminar, joining more than 900 disability advocates to learn, connect, and make their voices heard. During Hill Day, L'Arche participants met with Congress members and their staff to share personal stories and advocate for priorities affecting people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, including Medicaid funding and person-centered supports that help people live and flourish in the communities they choose. For L'Arche, advocacy is rooted in relationship and the belief that people with disabilities should have a voice in the decisions that affect their lives. We're proud to stand along advocates across the country, and we look forward to sharing more opportunities for a wider community of friends and supporters to learn, speak up, and get involved.
Up next is L'Arche at the United Nations. Here is a lovely picture of L'Arche representatives posing outside the United Nations in New York City. L'Arche was once again represented on the global stage at the session of the Conference of States Parties to the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, COSP. Representatives from L'Arche Belfast, Cortland, Buffalo International, and the USA came together at the United Nations to amplify the voices of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and learn alongside disability advocacy from around the world. Click here on the right to listen to Donnell McLean read L'Arche's statement during the Civil Social Forum at the convention. By showing up in the spaces with disability rights are being discussed, L'Arche is helping advance a world where people with disabilities are heard, valued, and included in shaping the decisions that affect their lives.
Nice. Very important. Leadership meeting in Taizé, France. Here we've got an image of our lovely colleague Stasia, our resource and relationship manager, attending a workshop, and here our national leader, Laura, leading a group session. Leaders from across the International L'Arche Federation recently gathered in Taizé, France, to share ideas and imagine the future of L'Arche together. A group of leaders with intellectual disabilities also participated, bringing their perspectives and leadership directly into these important conversations. Members from the L'Arche USA shared learnings about evolving community needs and new expressions of L'Arche's mission, including a nice feature on L'Arche Buffalo's Care Co-op pilot. Together, participants explored new possibilities for L'Arche's future, with the voices and leadership of people with intellectual disabilities at the heart of this work.
Up next is the L'Arche Spotlight. This section offers a quick look at some of our talented L'Arche artists, living, working, and creating in our communities. In this issue, we explore the expressive work of Terry and Tyler from L'Arche Atlanta. While independent artists, it is clear these two have helped shape each other's unique styles. Their paintings are full of bold, international brushstrokes that celebrate the vibrant colors of everyday life and the natural world around us. Please enjoy.
Here we have Terry. Terry has a lovely painting of a house, the Ohio football team, and 2 bright, colorful cats. Terry's pictured here smiling in a nice red hat. Hi everybody, my name is Terry. I like to make art, and I like to sell it to make money for tattoos. I paint sports teams, animals, and everything else. I like to paint on cardboard, canvas, wood, and clothes sometimes. I'll be okay. I like to take my time. I like to paint cats for money with my friend Uncle Taylor. We do a real good job.
And here is Taylor from Larchalanta as well. He made a heron, Hazel, which is a cat, and a bird record. Hi all, I'm Terry, or Uncle Tutu as people know me when I'm making art from Larchalanta. While I'm not home, life leading at Larch, I like to make folky artwork out of old house paint and acrylics. I paint on things that I find while I'm out and about, like vinyl records, and also cut shapes out of wood and paint them. I usually paint animals that I see out and about, and I like to make them look goofy with a lot of brush strokes and dots. I like to paint things that feel accessible to other people so they feel inspired to paint their own birds, cats, or whatever calls them. I have found a lot of fun community in painting and really enjoy meeting people who also create art. You can see what I'm getting up to on Instagram at Uncle Tutu. Thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Taylor and Terry. Up next, we've got some features from Larch recently in the news. First, Larch Greater Washington, D.C.'s short film on loneliness, if you have not watched it, drop everything and watch it right now, wins a regional Emmy in the Societal Concerns category. Click here to watch the full video. Next, Larch Boston North's culinary program cooks up opportunities for adults with intellectual disabilities. Be sure to click here and read more about this interesting program happening over on the East Coast. And last, Larch St. Louis community members share their sacred stories. See what a local news team had to say about the sacred stories listening to our stop at Larch in St. Louis, Missouri. There are more ways to give hope than just this hope signs. Your generosity can help build Larch communities of belonging today and sustain this work for years to come. If you are 70 and a half or older, a qualified charitable distribution, QCD, allows you to make a gift directly from an eligible IRA to Larch USA. A QCD may also count towards your required minimum distribution. You can create a lasting legacy by including Larch USA in your will or naming us as a beneficiary of a retirement account, life insurance policy, or investment account. You can click here to send an email to our lovely Director of Development, Brian Ballard, and ask about giving options. Learn more, contact Brian, and we encourage you to consult your financial or legal advisor as well. Here's our legal name and our tax ID number. Thank you, everyone.
This work is not only possible with your support. Together, we bring the power of community to life, changing society so people with intellectual disabilities can thrive. A big thank you, and please click here if you would like to donate. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you all so much. We look forward to being with you at our next newsletter. Have a great week.